8, Radio Wammo Breakfast. Time to dig into the issues of the day with T Radar joining us after the long weekend. Happy post-Easter, T Radar. Good morning.
And what a long weekend it was. It seemed to stretch out like this sort of lovely last grasp of summer.
Yeah, the summer that, of course, we never had. And of course, a lot of people went to the beach and some didn't make it back, T Radar, just to start off on a bit of a downer.
A bit of a downer, I suppose. 4 people, around the place drowned, and you could sort of understand it. It was such a night. Well, you can't understand it. It's terrible. But it was such a lovely weekend. I even sort of strolled. I didn't quite get to the beach, but I got to some cliffs above the beach on a bit of a cliff top promenade yesterday in the sunshine. But yes, on a more positive note, though, no road deaths. Although came very close to witnessing one on the road back from Piha, which, and I wished I'd been a little bit closer because someone passed on a corner. I thought if I was closer, I would have got their license plate and I would have star 5'5'd them, like some kind of citizen vigilante to the Stasi of road enforcement. Because,
and why not? And why not? It's worthwhile.
It is worthwhile. Someone could have come around that corner with anyone at all. Just some little kids or an old person, and they would have wiped out into them. And all to get, an extra minute? Ludicrous.
Yeah, especially, and that's a notorious stretch of road. Notorious.
Yeah, it is notorious. It's it's there are a lot of notorious stretches of road, and it does always shock you when you see someone where you just go, that is, that's moronic. And so I hope someone did. I hope someone in an earlier car had someone there who was able to dial without driving and say, hey, this person driving this red car is a moron.
Indeed. Over the weekend, some positive news for the gay, lesbian and bisexual world where we won the Mr. Gay.
Yes, we did, actually, and they've just had it in Africa, which is quite a breakthrough. Africa, of course, notoriously one of the more homophobic continents. I think 37 countries or something like that, I think, still illegal to be homosexual. And so won by a New Zealand resident, a German chap, who's working at a branch of warehouse stationery. So I suspect that somewhere around the country in the next few weeks, one of the warehouse stationery is going to have a rather inexplicable rise in the sale of 1B5s and pens and paper as people come in to go, oh, hello, German chap working here. So yes, he was a German, and he took it out. His name was Andreas Derleth, and he works at a warehouse stationery. So good for him. There's a photograph of him that I've seen. He's looking. He looks in pretty good shape, to be fair.
Yeah.
I can understand why it was that he may have been voted Mr. Gay World.
And
nice, of course, also last week, I don't know if you saw the news, Donald Trump has magnanimously allowed the transgendered Canadian entrant of Miss Universe to enter.
To enter what?
To enter Miss Universe.
Oh, does Donald Trump, does he run the show, does he?
Yes, I believe he owns Miss Universe.
Oh, wow. Had no idea.
I don't know technically that he owns the winner. It's not a contest to find his next wife, although I suspect it is very useful in that regard. But there was a transgendered entrant, and there was some hoo-ha because technically not born a woman, but now a mighty fine-looking lady. And they went, oh, you can't actually enter because, well, technically under our rules, you're still a man. And she went, well, I'm not a man anymore. And he went, nope, she's right, not a man. Surgery's seen to that.
Good on him.
So I thought that was a wonderful sort of gesture.
Yeah, indeed.
And it's even in the gaming world. I see you're a bit of a gamer, aren't you?
Occasionally, yeah. What's going on?
Well, EA, what are they? Electronic Arts.
Yep.
Big gamers. They've been inundated with thousands of emails and hate letters about the fact that they have some gay and bisexual characters in their games, and people are saying, "Hey, that's not on," and they've gone, "Stuff you! If you don't like it, go and play someone else's game." So, ups to them as well.
Yeah, the gaming world is pretty much like the YouTube world. It's where you just don't want to read the comments.
That's right.
It's the worst parts of humanity. For some reason, it just attracts it. I don't know why.
You get the forums and all of that kind of thing. I know iPhone's done an article on sexism in the gaming world with some lady gamers, and sort of talking about how you'd go into a forum and suddenly all these drop kicks are all there, and it's like, oh, we're just going to go somewhere else because you guys are losers. Not everyone, to be fair, not everyone, but there are, as you say, there are a number of sort of what's the word I'm looking for, Wammo? Degenerates.
Well, I tend to think that most of these YouTube commenters and these rogue gamers are, probably all middle class white American 12-year-olds.
Yes, I suspect they probably are, actually, and they sit there and they send out hate missives from the safety of their keyboards.
Yeah,
and it is, you do see it. It's just, and it's just, you just think, really. What's the point of that? And for them, I'm sure it's a hilarious thing, but for the people on the end of it, it can be a horribly painful kind of experience. So anonymous cyberbullying, and I'm not sure we've really figured out how to deal with that.
Hey, let's stay with cyber stuff. Big news this morning in the technology world, where Facebook has purchased Instagram for $1 billion.
$1 billion. It sounds like something from a sort of a James Bond or type thing. And Instagram, for those of people unfamiliar with it, it's basically just an app that you get for your iPhone, isn't it? And you can put different filters over your photos and make them look a lot better than the one you took.
Or better or worse. I mean, it just makes your photos look worse, doesn't it? I mean, it takes your flash-as 8-megapixel camera, brand new technology, and makes your photo look like it was taken in the 30s.
We love nostalgia, though. We wallow in it. And if we can use the most high-tech device, that we've been able to have in our hands ever, really, and make something look really degraded, as if we've taken it with a pinhole camera in the 30s in a dark room, then, we love it. But can you imagine they've only got about a dozen employees, $1 billion. Who's going to get that $1 billion?
Yeah.
And will they ever do anything constructive with their life again?
No need to, You just that's it. You're out fishing.
Because you would. In fact, you could go out and you could buy a large area of fishing grounds, and you could set up a reserve of some nature and simply fish it yourself on occasion, should you wish to. And you looked at poor old Trevor last week from Te Kōwhara, who won the $26 million. You thought, oh, his life will never be the same again. Well, there's a bit of a difference between $26 million and $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if you'd just come on as a secretary and you hadn't really signed up for a stock deal. Do they still do those when you go on and you work for a low wage, but I might get some stock, and suddenly there is a possibility that all 12 of those people are doing very nicely, thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Google used to do that with their early employees. In fact, I think there was a story about the masseuse who used to come around in the early days and once a week and do the massage. She had some kind of stock option, and she's now a millionaire. From Google.
Once you get that stock option, you do tend to, I think, you want to sort of flick it off as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Because, you always see these people with these stock options and they go, I've got $1 billion in stock, and suddenly something happens, you go, I've got $8.70 worth of useless stock.
Yeah.
I can't even afford the internet connection that I could possibly use to sell it online.
Hey, before we go, I do want to talk about this rodent boom in Auckland that's expected. I didn't hear about this.
Yes, well, look, we've had a bit of a nice run of weather. It's been relatively warm, plentiful sort of food supplies. And if you have that nice warm autumn, you get the sort of run of rodents. There's been quite a few flies, and now they're saying that the rats and the mice are increasing in numbers. There could be a bit of a boom. I know we cat caught one here the other day that was a 20-centimetre long mouse, inclusive of tail. And you sort of looked at it and went, geez, that's a big mouse. So be prepared if you are out there, anywhere in the country really, I suspect, that we could be inundated with rodents. So set your traps, take your food away, don't store anything on the benches, don't encourage them inside, but they're on their way. You can almost hear the scattering of tiny feet as it begins to get a little bit colder in the next couple of weeks. We'll be little twisting noses. We'll be poking their heads inside the door.
Where do you sit? Where do you sit with that? Kill them dead or humane traps? What do you like?
Well, a humane trap is the best way, I suspect, if you can do that. But they become quite clever, some of them. So, yeah, if you can sort of get rid of them. I used to have some in a caravan I lived in. They lived under the mattress, and it was very annoying. And you'd set a little trap, and it would go off in the middle of the night. And some of those traps aren't as good as they could be. Yeah. And they wouldn't really, they'd catch them by the leg or the tail, in which case I'd sort of just throw them some distance out into the paddock and allow them to run away, slightly limpy. But, yes, better to sort of knock them off because, You don't want a plague of rodents. Biblical, I would imagine it would be.
Biblical. We could be,
Biblical
yeah.
plague. Because, it could be just... Some people may look at it as the impending sort of end. It's 2012, the Mayan calendar, all of that. Plague of rodents. What next? Famine? Well, there would be a famine if the rodents ate all of your food.
If they took all our grain.
If they took all of our grain, gosh, like those ones in Australia. You've seen the footage of those, haven't you, where they eat the pigs alive and people have to hold their children up above their heads for fear of them eating out their eyes.
Wow.
And, of course, there is some great footage. It is amazing. Coming back down from Antarctica and Gareth Morgan, who organised it, launched the $1 Million Mouse campaign a couple of weeks ago to get mice off the Antipodes, and there's this dreadful footage of a young albatross chick on an island sitting there overrun with mice. They're trying to eat out its eyes.
Oh.
So if anyone wants to think, there's some rodents we should get rid of, have a look at the $1 Million Mouse thing, because you can help get rid of the mice and save the eyes and thus the lives of the tiny, vulnerable albatross chicks.
Something to ponder on this Tuesday morning. Always a pleasure, T Radar.
We'll speak again, actually in a couple of weeks. I'm off to the States to investigate ways of living better.
Good. Look forward to that.
iPhone app. All right.
See ya.
Get invented, Wammo. I expect an app from you at any stage
with
now.
$1 billion.
Billion.
20